Today we're going to give you a quick rundown on how to make an adorable Squeezy Cheeks buddy. First, you will need one of these awesome plastic sheets of embroidery plastic with little square holes in them. They're about 97 cents a sheet at Michael's. You'll also need a pair of scissors. Then you're going to want to cut 3 squares per Squeezy Cheek buddy out of your plastic. So I'm gonna cheat because I don't have to use the ruler for this one. 12 squares. There are 12 squares per Squeezy Cheek friend. There's one. All right, we don't have to measure this one because we can go all the way down because we know that it's a nice straight line. Then we can clip off these little nubs here. That way you don't have any confusion when you try to cut your next square. So you can line up your next square. Now, as Pythagoras teaches us, we can't take 3 squares and make something that is somewhat triangular in shape. So we're going to cut off the corners on 2 edges of our square so that we won't have a funky looking Squeezy Cheek buddy. He will be nice and somewhat rounded and triangular. So we're going to come down to the 3rd row and cut right through the middle of the diagonals. Because if you cut too low through there, then you will have a weird shape. And then repeat this process with all 3 of your squares. Next, clean up your mess. I am going to use a tapestry needle. They have a blunted tip, so they're not sharp. You can do this with children if you want. They have a nice wide opening so that it will accept a piece of yarn because you're going to be sewing with yarn, which is rather wide. And it's small enough to pass through the holes of your material. Then you need to select the color of yarn you're going to be using. Today I'm going to make an elephant buddy. So I'm going to thread my needle. It helps to squish your yarn between your thumb and finger and then just slide the needle through the fingers and pull. To start sewing, we're going to select a yarn color. I've chosen gray because I think I'm going to make a little elephant Squeezy Cheek buddy. Then I'm going to grab my needle, thread it, and use my uncut edge. And I'm going to go up through the secondary hole and pull my yarn all the way through until I get a really good tail that I can hold onto with my thumb. This is important because we're not going to put in a knot or else you will see the knot on the back of your Squeezy Cheek friend. Then you will proceed to sew through each hole that lines the edges of your Squeezy Cheek buddy. And that will give you the coverage you need. All right, at this point, since we have the cut edge, we are going to change it up just a little bit and we will proceed to wrap the yarn through the cut piece, like so, and then proceed to go through the next hole that is completed on the far side. And then we'll come back up through this hole over here. This will help you to avoid any gaps in your yarn. Oops. Okay, and now for only 2 of these, we will wrap the 3 edges of the piece we're working on. We're going to sew around the edges on 1 full half. Because once you've connected this, you're gonna want this edge to be finished instead of plastic. So here we go. Wrapping over. Now when you get to the cut edge, you're going to need to use double stitches. So 2 stitches through the same hole to prevent any gaps. And then we will revert back to the single stitches. And now to finish this, I'm going to go back down under the sewing that I've already done until my needle pops back out. Pull it through and then trim the tail. Make sure to trim it short enough that it will hide underneath the yarn. And now we have 3 pieces together. You want to make sure that your finished edges are going to be on the outer edge. So you take your unfinished edged piece and you lay it against, and then we will make sure that we leave a big tail that we can hold on to. And then we will sew around the edges. And as before, we're going to want to do double stitching in these holes so that it will fill in the gaps for the spaces that were cut. So back through this hole yet again, and into the middle. Sometimes the tail makes the yarn tangle. Okay, now that that's finished, we need to take the other unfinished edge and continue along. Now sometimes the yarn gets a twist to it, so it's good to let it go and let it untwist itself. It prevents it from binding as much when it goes through the holes. And once again, we're going to use the double stitch method across the cut edge so that it fills it in nicely. All right, now that you've got them together, we're gonna go in through his mouth. Which is a little bit tricky. and pull through and trim the tail, which will hide the end of your yarn, keep them from unraveling. And there is the basic body of your squeezy cheek friend. This is the fun part where you can create whatever squeezy cheek buddy your imagination can come up with. This blank canvas will soon become an elephant. First, we are going to select some eyeballs. There are different varieties in here. We've got some with eyelashes and we've got some without. Next, I'm going to select pom-poms for our trunk. 4 pom-poms to create our elephant's trunk, and a little cute felt heart that I've cut out for the end of the nose. There's a good shape for a tongue. So that will be our tongue for our squeezy cheek buddy. So when his mouth opens, there will be a tongue inside. We also need to make some ears for our elephant. So I'm going to use some gray felt, which I've already traced the bottom of my son's sippy cup. And if you're thinking to yourself, elephant ears are not round, you're correct, but we are going to pinch the ears before we glue them onto our little elephant here. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out some cute little heart shapes for the insides of the elephant's ears. Okay, we'll go ahead and glue in his tongue. Okay, and we will go ahead and place his eyes. Glue our little fuzzy fuzz balls together to create our trunk. And there you have him. Do you have a Hershey kiss? And as an added bonus, you can add a Hershey kiss or a hug or some small treat inside the mouth of your little buddy and give them away as a gift. Well, I guess we gotta switch these two because there's Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit and our elephant and a tiger, and this is Chewbacca from the Star Wars series. And here is a friendly lion or cowardly lion, however you want to let that one play out. And he's got some beads for a nose and pom-poms to help finish off his little face. And this little friend over here is our French poodle. Le oui, I am a poodle.